In Elden Ring, there are plenty of ways to miss various questlines, NPC interactions, and items in the game. In this guided walkthrough series, we'll be hitting upon all the NPC interactions and quests and doing our best not to miss anything important. We won't be exploring every location, but we will be doing just about everything that is encompassed in a satisfying playthrough of Elden Ring. Finally, I tried to include essential information for newer players to make the game more approachable, but also included all the details that even an experienced player will find useful in a second or even third playthrough. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. Starting out on a fresh run, you can either win or lose the fight with the Grafted Scion. It really doesn't matter all that much. You can always return to fight it later on. As a quick note, I went out of my way to get a lantern before doing anything else in this playthrough and also had a friend give me a ghost flame torch. These only serve the purpose of improving visibility, and besides that, this entire walkthrough series will be with a brand new character of the samurai origin. If you make your way through the Cave of Knowledge tutorial route, you can pick up the Strength Gesture near a ledge after defeating the Soldier of Godric mini-boss. Arriving at the first step, you can speak with White Mask Varre to gain some background on your situation, but will avoid his advice for now. Head north around the Tree Sentinel and discover the Site of Grace at the Church of Ely. Introduce yourself to Kale the Merchant and purchase the crafting kit, which will come in handy later. Move further along the beaten path to the Gatefront Ruins. A set of stairs can be found in the southeast quadrant of this area. Descend down them to find a chest containing an Ash of War and a Whetstone knife, which is needed to apply Ashes of War to weapons. Grab the map fragment in the center of the ruins and perhaps the Lord Sorin's greatsword from the nearby chest, then sit down at the Gatefront Site of Grace to the northwest. This will trigger an introduction to the NPC Melina. She'll offer an accord, which you should accept. In doing so, you'll get the ability to level up, and you'll also get Torrent, the spectral steed. As a general tip, keep an eye out for the option to talk with Melina whenever you rest at a Site of Grace. It will provide additional information on Melina and her goals, but it's ultimately just additional lore and of little consequence if missed. Return to the Church of Ely to meet another important NPC, Ranni, though at this time she'll go by the name of Renna. Tell her you have Torrent and she'll give you the Spirit Calling Bell along with the Lone Wolf Ashes. Return to the Gatefront and make your way northwest up to Stormhill Shack. Before entering the shack, grab the golden seed near the Erd Tree sapling along the way. Make a point of grabbing these seeds at any Erd Tree sapling you see, as they can be used to increase the number of your flasks of Crimson or Cerulean Tears. Inside the Stormhill Shack, you'll meet another NPC by the name of Roderika. Speak with her multiple times to get the Sitting Sideways gesture, Jellyfish Spirit Ashes, and a minor quest to retrieve the Chrysalids memento from Stormvale Castle. We'll put off Stormvale Castle for now and instead head northeast to the War Master's Shack. There you can meet Bernahl, an NPC that sells various Ashes of War. Do not attack him, as he will have an important questline later on. And as a general tip, you should avoid attacking any NPC that is not actively trying to attack you. There's no such thing as an unimportant NPC in this game. In addition, if you accidentally hit a friendly NPC enough times so that they become hostile, you can always perform Absolution at the Church of Vows a little later in the game, and that should fix the mistake, returning them to friendly status. Just leave them alone until then, because if you keep attacking them and they die, in most cases there will be no way to bring them back to life. Moving on, follow the trail heading northwest from War Master's Shack towards the Limgrave Arena. There you should be invaded by the most easily missed invader, Recusant Henricus. He is probably the easiest NPC invader to defeat and will drop the Hammer Talisman, which is pretty useful for heavy weapon builds. Return to the road near War Master's Shack and head along it towards the northeast. Discover the Saints Bridge Site of Grace and then make your way southwest up onto the hillside to meet a new NPC, Iron Fist Alexander. Agree to help him out of the rut he's in and then do it with charged weapon attacks, which is achieved by holding the right trigger on an Xbox controller or R2 on a PlayStation controller. Once Alexander is knocked loose, you should get the Triumphant Delight gesture. Speak with Alexander and you'll get a piece of exalted flesh along with information on where he's headed. If you don't have the map fragment for this area and want to get it before continuing with the guide, you can find it near the Mistwood Ruins. Continue traveling past the Saints Bridge and you'll find D, Hunter of the Dead. Speak with him, but don't heed his warning. Instead, discover the Summonwater Village outskirts Site of Grace and then move into the village. Here, you'll face the relatively easy boss known as Tibia Mariner. This is actually one of the easiest bosses in the game and will give you a fair chunk of runes to level up your character, along with the Skeleton Militiaman Ashes and a Death Root. As a quick side note, if you're on a new character, you should be trying to always spend your runes on leveling up, and the best thing you can do for yourself early on is dump those levels into the Vigor stat. After defeating the Mariner, you should find a D near the west entrance of the village. Show him the Death Root and he'll mark the coordinates on your map for a transporter near the Third Church of Marika. He'll instruct you to take it to meet Gurranq the Beast Clergyman. Before doing that though, we'll briefly venture into Caelid, which can be dangerous but won't be too bad if approached correctly. To the northeast is the Smoldering Church. When approaching, make sure to rush inside and discover the Site of Grace, as Anastasia Tarnished-Eater will invade. This is so that, in case you die, you'll just respawn at the church and can run back outside to trigger the invasion again. Anastasia is a bit tanky and hits like a truck, especially if you are a lower level. However, her moveset is pretty limited and often leaves her open for charged or jump attacks. She'll drop the Sacred Scorpion Charm Talisman when defeated, which boosts holy damage at the cost of lowered defense stats. Resting at this Site of Grace will cause Melina to appear to take you to Roundtable Hold. Upon arriving to the Hold, speak with the various NPCs. This includes Gideon, Dialos, Dee, Corrin, Fia, Hugh, and Ensha. Make sure to speak with each several times until they have nothing new to say. Speaking with Corrin for the first time will get you the prayer gesture. If you speak with Dee at this point, he won't have much to say as you haven't yet visited Gurranq, the Beast Clergyman. Speak with Fia and allow her to hold you, just make sure to find the Baldekin's Blessing in your inventory and use it, as it will reduce your Vigor stat by 1 point for as long as you have it. After the first time Fia holds you, you can have her hold you again to speak in secret with her for more information on her background. Ensha won't speak with you, but if you interact with him you'll get the "what do you want" gesture. Then there's Hugh. He's the blacksmith and will upgrade your armaments in exchange for smithing stones and runes. He can also duplicate Ashes of War. Finally, I need to bring up Mad Tongue Alberich. He'll invade when you jump over the balcony in Roundtable Hold to the area below. Give him a moment after he invades and you'll unlock the Reverential Bow gesture. If you attack him before unlocking the gesture and then defeat him, you won't be able to get it until your next playthrough. That being said, you might want to hold off on challenging the Mad Sorcerer until after you've gained plenty more levels, as he's pretty tough and there's no good way to save your runes if you lose to him without having to also defeat him. So either wait to get the gesture and defeat him, or spend all of your runes before going to fight him so you've got nothing to lose. With all introductions made, travel back to the Smoldering Church. We're gonna go through Gael Tunnel, but we won't be fighting much at this point. We just want to get the second interaction with Alexander. You can pretty easily make it to the entrance of this tunnel without fighting any enemies by following the path I take. Once there, quickly drop down a series of ledges to reach the Site of Grace in the tunnel below. From here, it's a relatively quick and easy jog to reach the other side, and you can pick up a couple of nice runes along the way. Avoid opening the door to the boss room for now, as it's almost unfair at lower levels. Instead, open the smaller door nearby, which is only openable from this side. Beyond it, you'll find Alexander and the rear Gael Tunnel entrance Site of Grace. Discover the Grace and rest at it to take care of any enemies that are chasing you, speak with Alexander and go through all of his dialogue, then proceed out the back exit of Gael Tunnel back into Limgrave. Make your way south down the Spirit Springs while riding Torrent. The final Spirit Spring will bring you down right near the Third Church of Marika, and a treasure scarab nearby will drop the Sacred Blade Ash of War when defeated. Go into the Third Church of Marika and find the Wondrous Physic Flask, Crimson Crystal Tear, and Sacred Tear, then discover the Site of Grace. The first time resting there, you can speak with Melina to learn more about the echoes of Queen Marika. Now is also a good time to mix the Crimson Crystal Tear into the Physic Flask for some extra healing. Travel to the transporter that D marked on the map. It's to the north behind the Third Church of Marika. Use it to be transported to the Bestial Sanctum, discover the Site of Grace, and then speak with Gurranq near the back of the Sanctum. Give him the Death Root from earlier to obtain the Beast's Eye key item, and Clawmark Seal, which can be used to cast incantations. At this point, you can return to Roundtable Hold and tell D that you've met with Gurranq. You'll then gain access to his Golden Order incantations, and this is basically the end of D's short questline, though he will be involved in other quests soon enough. Return to the Third Church of Marika and head southwest to find Kenneth Haight on top of some ruins. Speak with him and agree to take back Fort Haight. Travel southeast through the Mistwoods towards the fort and grab the map fragment along the way. As you pass by the Mistwood ruins, you should hear a howling wolf, which we'll circle back to in a bit. Make your way to Fort Haight and discover the Site of Grace nearby. Then head through the fort and fight the Armored Knight near the end. He'll drop the Bloody Slash Ash of War when defeated, which is very strong for early game. While you're here, climb up the ladder in the nearby tower to retrieve the left half of the Dectus Medallion. Fast travel to the Church of Elay and ask Kale about the howling near the Mistwood ruins. This will unlock the Finger Snap gesture. Return to Fort Haight West and make your way northwest towards the Mistwood ruins. Once you are within the ruins' boundaries, use the Finger Snap gesture and a new NPC, Blaidd, will drop down to introduce himself. Make sure to speak through all of his dialogue, then head north back to Kenneth Haight. Kenneth Haight will reward you for liberating the fort with an Erd Steel Dagger. Speak with him several times more and agree to enter his service before moving on. We'll catch up with Kenneth later. For now, fast travel back to the gatefront and then make your way southeast. After discovering the Agiel Lake North Grace, find a talking tree further to the southeast a short distance from the beaten path. Strike the tree once and only once to remove this spell, revealing an NPC, Bach the Seamster. He's friendly and will give you a handful of mushrooms as thanks for freeing him. Make sure to speak through all of his dialogue before moving on. As a quick note, if you need more level 1 smithing stones to upgrade your weapon of choice, you'll find plenty within the Limgrave tunnels, which is very easily reached from the Agiel Lake North Site of Grace. But getting back on topic, continue along the path passing over a bridge. On the east side of the road, you should spot the Waypoint ruins. Find the staircase leading down to a chamber where you'll face off with a Pumpkinhead mini-boss. Defeating the Pumpkinhead will also unlock a new Site of Grace and open passage to a new room where you'll find another NPC, Sorceress Sellen. She has an extensive questline, but for now you can begin your tutelage under her, unlocking the Thoughtful Nod gesture along with access to a handful of glintstone sorceries. Continue your journey down the road and discover the Agiel Lake South Site of Grace. Up on the nearby hill you'll find the Forlorn Hound Everjail, the location of Bloodhound Knight Darrowil. Inside, you'll find a gold summoning sign for Blaidd. Summon him to help you take down the knight, receiving the Bloodhound's Fang for your efforts. Afterwards, speak with Blaidd outside to receive a Somber Smithing Stone too. Keep speaking with him and you'll be told about a smithy named Eg found in northwest Liurnia. Make your way back down to the main road and continue south across the Bridge of Sacrifice into the Weeping Peninsula. A short distance from the Bridge of Sacrifice Site of Grace, you'll find a new NPC, Renna. Speak through all of her dialogue and agree to take the letter from her to her father. Continue south past the Castle Morn Rampart and towards Castle Morn. As you make your way towards the castle, pick up the map fragment. Once you've discovered the Castle Morn lift, return to the Castle Morn Ramparts for a quick detour. Head up the hill to the southwest, leading into the Ailing village. Stop by the Kalu Baptismal Church where a sacred tear can be found. You can then head north to discover the Ailing village outskirts Site of Grace. Near the Grace, there is a safe drop that will allow you to access a bridge that leads to the west side of the peninsula. Make your way to the Church of Pilgrimage where another sacred tear can be found. Resting at the Site of Grace there will also give the option of speaking to Melina again. Also, to the south, there's a minor Erdtree with a relatively easy boss that will drop the bubble tier when defeated, which can be mixed in with your Physic Flask. Continuing on, a short distance to the southwest of the Pilgrimage Church, you'll find the 4th Church of Marika, where yet another sacred tear can be acquired. Those 3 sacred tears will dramatically improve the potency of your flasks of tears, and the bubble tier will add an extra protective boost to your Physic Flask, giving you a major leg up in future challenges. Finally, at the southwest edge of the peninsula, you'll find the Isolated Merchant's Shack, where you can purchase a lantern for 1800 runes. You can also get the Zweihander, a colossal sword, for 3500 runes. Returning to the Castlemorn lift, we'll be making our way through to find Irina's father. You'll find the father, who goes by the name of Edgar, at the top of the East Castle Tower. Speak with him and hand over Irina's letter. Make sure to go through all of his dialogue before moving on. After that, double back and begin making your way through the rest of the castle. There are a couple of items in this area that I'm not going for, including the Twin Blade Talisman, Claymore, and Steel Wire Torch, none of which are particularly good or required for any of the game's trophies or achievements, and you can always go back and get them at any time you want. After discovering the Site of Grace beside the Rampart Jail, head down to the castle side and past the Jellyfish to reach the Morn Moangrave, where you'll face off with the Leonine Misbegotten boss. When defeated, the Leonine Misbegotten will drop the Grafted Blade Greatsword, one of the legendary armaments. Return to Edgar at the East Tower and speak with him. With the legendary sword secured, he is comfortable leaving the castle to reunite with Irina. But again, just make sure to go through all of his dialogue before moving on. Fast travel back to the Bridge of Sacrifice to find a new scene playing out. You'll see the bloodied body of Irina with a weeping Edgar hunched over her. Speak with Edgar and he'll vow to hunt down whoever did this to his daughter. Fully resolving this questline will need to wait until you've made it to Liurnia. For now though, make your way back into Limgrave, then head northeast to discover the Seaside Ruins Site of Grace. Beneath the nearby underpass, you'll find a new NPC by the name of Yura. Speak with Yura and he'll warn you of Flying Dragon Agheel to the north. Flying Dragon Agheel will swoop in to attack when you approach the group of worshippers near a large pyre northwest of the Dragon-burnt ruins. If you manage to defeat Agheel, you can return to Yura and share the news. He'll tell you about the Church of Dragon Communion off the west coast of Limgrave. We'll head there, completing the next steps in Bok's questline along the way. Find the entrance to the coastal cave west of the First Step Site of Grace. Inside, you'll find an injured Bok. Speak through all of his dialogue and then venture down into the cave. The boss room contains 2 demi-human chiefs along with several grunts. If you're careful and avoid venturing too far into the room, you can actually fight the chiefs one at a time. They drop the sewing needle and tailoring tools when defeated. We'll bring those back to Bok in a moment, but first head out the south exit of the cave. You'll emerge near the Church of Dragon Communion, which is one of the locations where dragon hearts can be exchanged for Dragon Communion incantations. Return to the coastal cave, give Bok the sewing needle, and make sure to speak through all of his dialogue before moving on. Travel back to Agheel Lake and head up north through the river. When you approach Murkwater Cave, you'll be invaded by Bloody Finger Nereus. Moments later, Yura will be summoned as a hunter to assist in defeating the invader, who will drop the Reduvia dagger. Yura will then move to a new location a short distance north of Murkwater Cave. You can speak with him there to learn more about his backstory and mission. After that, head into Murkwater Cave to find another important NPC, Patches. He'll attack you after you loot his chest, however, reducing him to half health will cause him to surrender and become friendly, and unlock the Grovel for Mercy gesture. Patches is not very tough, so take care and use a relatively weak weapon to beat him down. After the fight, speak with Patches and go through all of his dialogue, then reload the game and Patches will open up his shop where he sells a couple of useful items. At this point, you can give Patches 3 hits with a weak weapon to make him hostile for the second time. Then let him attack you. Once Patches damages you a good chunk, he'll give you the Extreme Repentance gesture, along with an opportunity to use it to gain his forgiveness. Simply dying will also return Patches to friendly status. There should also be a second chest in Patches' hovel once he opens up shop. If you open the chest, you'll find out it's a transportation trap. Find and rest at the nearest site of grace to regain the ability to fast travel, then return to Patches and speak with him after triggering the trap to get the Calm Down gesture. At this point, we're finally ready to take on Margit the Fell Omen. From the Stormhill Shack, head northeast to Castle Ward Tunnel. Near the boss room, you'll find a summoning sign for a new NPC, Sorcerer Rogier. In this first meeting, he'll assist you in the fight against Margit. Defeating Margit will unlock a second slot for equipping talismans. Moving on, near the Stormvale main gate, you'll find Gatekeeper Gestok, another important NPC that you should not attack. When speaking with him, you'll be given 2 choices: go through the secret side entrance or go through the main gate. The main gate is much quicker, so that's the path that I'll be taking. While it can be daunting, it's not too difficult to dodge roll your way past the enemy ballistas and race towards the Limgrave Tower Bridge Site of Grace. As a brief aside, Gestok will pillage your corpse whenever you die in Stormvale Castle, taking about a third of your runes. While this is extremely annoying, it's worth putting up with, as later on you'll be able to buy an Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone from Gestok as long as he's still alive. Once you've rested at the Tower Bridge Site of Grace, double back and defeat the Guardian Lion. Then proceed north through the castle until reaching the Liftside Chamber Site of Grace. From here, we'll make our way to Rogier's temporary location within the castle. Head out the east exit, then move south across the courtyard and into a large tower. There's a Grafted Scion that you can either fight or run past before continuing on your way. Through one of the doorways in the room with the Scion, you can find a pile of corpses along with the Chrysalid's memento, which is needed for Roderika's quest. For now, we'll continue on to Rogier's location. You'll eventually reach a church-like structure, and I'd recommend defeating the banished knights outside, otherwise they'll most likely follow you into the church, putting you and Rogier in danger. After handling that, head inside the church to find Rogier. You can speak with him to learn more about his mission and purchase his Spellblade Ashes of War. Purchasing an Ash of War will get you some additional dialogue, but it's completely optional. Now, Gatekeeper Gestalk actually has a few locations around the castle where he'll be spying on you. One of those is on top of this church's rooftop, right above Rogier's position. That being said, I think going through the main gate might prevent Gestalk from showing up at any of those locations. Regardless, they're all optional interactions, and the most you get out of it is a Grace Mimic, which is worth about 100 runes. Before continuing through the castle, travel to Stormhill Shack, speak with Roderika, and give her the Chrysalid's memento. After going through all of her dialogue, she'll make her way to Roundtable Hold. Go there and speak with her a few more times to get a golden seed. You can speak with Hugh about Roderika, then to Roderika about what Hugh said, and then finally speak with Hugh until he agrees to hone Roderika's skills as a spirit tuner. Reload the game, and Roderika should be in a new location near Hugh, now with the ability to upgrade spirit summons. With that settled, go back to the lift side chamber and take the lift up. A short distance away, you'll find the secluded cell site of Grace and a fog wall leading to Godric the Grafted. Before entering the boss room, head south from the secluded cell, past the troll and banished knights. Near the Erdtree sapling, you'll find the entrance to a room containing the final important NPC on Limgrave, Nepheli. Speak through all of her dialogue, and she'll insist that you summon her in the fight against Godric. Just outside of the Godric boss room, you'll now find Nepheli's summoning sign, and it's totally up to you whether you accept this offer of help. Either way, enter the boss room and face off with Godric the Grafted. Defeating Godric will get you the Remembrance of the Grafted along with Godric's Great Rune. A new site of Grace will appear nearby, and when you rest at it, so will Gatekeeper Gestalk. He has several unimpressive items for sale, but again, make sure not to attack him as he will have an Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone for us to purchase later on. At this point, we're almost done with Limgrave. While you don't have to, you can go activate the Great Rune of Godric over at the Divine Tower of Limgrave. Whether or not you've done that, return to Roundtable Hold. First, seek out Nepheli and speak through all of her dialogue. If you can't find her, you may need to speak with Gideon more near the main table and then reload the game. She'll give you the Arsenal charm if you spoke with her before defeating Godric. After speaking to her multiple times, she'll inform you that she is leaving Roundtable Hold to continue her journey. You'll also want to speak with Finger Reader Enya. She can exchange the unique rewards for any remembrances from bosses that you bring her. Speaking with her will also cause Gideon to open the doors to his personal chamber and advance Varre's quest. Next, find Rogier sitting by the balcony. Tell him you defeated Godric and you'll be rewarded with Rogier's Rapier +8. Go back to the first step site of Grace to find a message where Varre used to stand. Reading it will unlock the Bravo gesture, and we won't find Varre again until we venture into Liurnia. To trigger the next step of Rogier's quest, we'll need to visit the corpse beneath Stormvale Castle. Starting from the lift side chamber, take the lift up and then proceed along a somewhat hidden path. As a quick tip in case you didn't know, you can sprint by holding the dodge roll button while running, and doing that will add significant distance to your jumps. Once you reach a gold message on the ground, turn to the south and make your way down to a lower area of the castle. Make sure to open the shortcut door to the east, leading back to the lift side chamber before continuing on. Next, you'll need to carefully make your way down through a platforming section to reach a pit area infested with giant rats. Head south and get the treasure scarab along the way to obtain the Rancor Call sorcery, then continue forward and drop down to an even lower pit. Here you'll be attacked by an ulcerated tree spirit. I'm not sure if defeating it is actually necessary, but that's what I did, and you'll get a golden seed for your trouble. And as a quick tip, sticking close to its belly will help you either block or dodge its attacks. There's also a stone sword key on the ground that you might want to pick up. In any case, run south down the tunnel to find a grotesque looking face. Witnessing this face may be required as part of Rogier's quest. You can also pick up the Prince of Death's pustule talisman nearby. On top of all that, there should be a bloodstain that reveals how Rogier ended up in his current state at Roundtable Hold. Return to Rogier at Roundtable Hold and ask him about the corpse under Stormveil Castle. If you want, you can also ask Rogier about D, Hunter of the Dead, and vice versa to learn about their history. Once you've asked Rogier about the corpse under Stormveil Castle, head over to Fia. After agreeing to be held, you should be able to speak in secret with her and go through a series of dialogue choices regarding a Black Knifeprint and its whereabouts. You'll know you've reached the end of her dialogue when Fia gives you a drawn map showing the Knifeprint's location, which will turn out to be the Black Knife Catacombs in Liurnia. With all that done, travel back to the Godric the Grafted Site of Grace and make your way through the throne room. Pick up the Shabriri Grape, then head out the north exit, finally stepping foot in Liurnia. And that is the end of this episode. While this guide didn't cover absolutely everything you can do in Limgrave, we did cover all the important NPC interactions and invaders, and are now in a position to venture into Liurnia without having to worry about missing anything important in Limgrave. If you're still having trouble with anything covered in this guide, you can reach out in the comments section where I'll do my best to help. I also recommend checking the pinned comment as I will be updating it with information about specific problems people are having and potential solutions. Liurnia is the topic for the next video in this series, and you can find it over on my channel. And if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat, her name's Marshmallow. Another great way to support the channel is through the Marshmallow merch store. It features professional Elden Ring inspired artwork of your favorite fluffball, with a new Ranni inspired design available now. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Wednesday, and as always, thanks for watching.